I don't know, I feel like we have superpower within us, in our melanin.
The 5-year survival rate for breast cancer in high-income countries is 90%. That plummets to 40% in South Africa and 32% in Nigeria. Many women simply cannot afford the healthcare that they need. In fact, faith often acts as a more affordable substitute. We've faced so many hard truths and tragedies on this journey, but we have also been inspired. Black women should not lose their lives simply because of the colour of their skin. Nobody should lose their lives simply because of the colour of their skin. And it's down to us all to do something about that.
All right, down to us all to do something about that. So across the continent, or across 3 continents, women's voices rise to break the silence of breast cancer. We celebrate their resilience as they confront shame and demand equitable care. Now, with stunning cinematography, episodes of poetry and dance, interlaced with deeply personal stories, Shades of Survival is not just a typical documentary. It is created as a feature film about real people. It's inspiring, hard-hitting, and hopeful, taking the viewer on an unforgettable journey. Now, joining me in the studio to discuss this documentary and its screen at AFRIP is David Ayeni, director of Shades of Survival, and Victoria Ekanoye, producer of the same documentary. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
So much for having us.
Yeah, so I got your names correctly, all right?
Yes, Victoria Ekanoye, although it's Adebisi. That's my Nigerian name. No, that's fine. Victoria Ekanoye, that's what everybody calls me.
Okay.
But I'm in Nigeria, so we have to...
Let me put in the Yoruba flavor, Adebisi. Okay. Victoria Adebisi Ekanoye, welcome to the show. All right, so, I mean, from the name Shade of Survival, is something that definitely would hit home, you know. But producing this movie, or this documentary, was there a particular story that prompted both of you to actually make it, a flick on its own?
It started with me losing a friend. Okay. And she used to live in Abuja and moved to the UK, and she was on holiday at this point and had a lump. Turns out she had stage 4 breast cancer, and they didn't catch it in Abuja when she had gone there twice. So eventually she died. And on the day of her funeral, her mother called me and said she didn't want breast cancer to be mentioned at her funeral. Anything else can be mentioned, but not breast cancer. And that prompted me that we needed to address that stigma.
What year was this? How long ago was this?
This is about 3 years ago, and she was just 36.
36, still filled with life. Wow. Okay, now talk about surviving cancer. I mean, like, from your experience and conversations with the survivors, what's that one thing that they probably highlight during their ordeal? Maybe like something that could be done better, from your experience speaking with them. And just share with us, how you eventually ended up meeting, how you ended up meeting him, and how you guys ended up working together on this project.
Well, I'm a breast cancer survivor. My son was 6 months old when I found the lump. I was breastfeeding him. I had to be seen 3 times before I finally got my diagnosis. I had to really push, and they kept telling me I was fine, but I knew that I wasn't. So a huge part of this whole process for me has been about self-advocacy. You have to be able to speak up for yourself, and not everybody feels confident enough to, not everybody feels educated enough to, and I understand that. And it's sad that we have to be resilient and tenacious and brave in order to survive. But what I really noticed was the disparities within healthcare, the health equity for Black women, African women, the diaspora. David's, such a sad situation for anybody to deal with, and he really went through it, and I think the whole experience was a very cathartic one for me, because every time I interviewed somebody, I would be telling my story, and I'd be listening to them, and they're feeling seen, and they're feeling heard, and they're feeling represented, which is crucial. But I think that shame that is attached to it, and that taboo and stigma, especially here. I mean, we went to South Africa, Nigeria, the States, France, UK, and that shame and stigma and taboo and fear is attached regardless of what country you're in. It shouldn't matter what the colour of your skin is, how much you earn, or where you live, as to whether you live or die. But unfortunately, when it comes to breast cancer, that is exactly what is making a difference.
Where did you find out about your diagnosis?
This was I had two, because I live in France, so I had two screenings initially at the end of in the middle of 2021. And it wasn't until the end of 2021 where I went for the third screening, and that was in England. And finally, I got that diagnosis. I had a double mastectomy, reconstruction. I was very open about my situation. I spoke to everybody. I went on, because I'm an actress, so thankfully I have a global platform that allows me to express what I'm going through, and hopefully people will see it and they will listen and they will know to check themselves. And there's specific things that we have to do, but we have to know it.
Okay, so I know everybody's experience will differ, depending on the country you find yourself. If you're in UK, probably you get better healthcare. If you're in Africa, probably it will be limited. But from your conversations with people, people that have maybe had to deal with the ordeal, maybe sadly have lost their lives, what was that one thing they pointed out that they wish could have been done better? Maybe in terms of the healthcare system. It could be in the UK, France, it could be anywhere. What is that one thing? Or maybe things that they've told you, or maybe you, that they wish would have been done better. Maybe that would have given them maybe a chance at surviving, cancer.
I would say what we heard is catching it early.
Yeah.
Catching it early, okay.
Amongst Black women, catching it early has been a challenge. But Victoria is more, has been an advocate and a patron of a breast cancer, one of the patrons of a breast cancer group. And I think you can allude more to this because you did the interviews.
Yeah, I mean, Black women die at an earlier age with breast cancer. We present later. We're usually diagnosed with more serious forms of breast cancer, triple negative, for instance. And there are many reasons to that. I think one of the main things for me is that women don't know what it is that they're looking for. They don't know how often to check, and it's, if I can direct it, is this the right camera? So you're checking yourself once a month. If you are still having your period, you make sure you do it maybe 5, 6, 7 days after your period ends. If you are not, then it doesn't matter what time of the month. This is for men too, because men can get breast cancer as well. We all have breast tissue. You have to make sure that you are doing this once a month. And personally, I do a full body check, because the sooner that we catch anything, the sooner that we can do something about it, the more chance we have to live. And that, I think, the education of knowing what to do is a huge part
I like
of
the
this.
fact that you chipped in that men too can have breast cancer,
Yes.
because actually I feel like a lot of men feel like it's a female thing. Right, so I saw some pictures of you two with the deputy PM David Lamy. What was the conversation around when you went to visit him? Was it about the movie? What was it? Tell me, because I want to hear gossip.
You want the gossip? So we have a petition signed by medical professionals and the charities and the advocates that we've been lucky enough to meet. And we went to 10 Downing Street because we want to demand the change, the health equity that should just simply be there. And there are many reasons as to why it isn't there, but we can only do so much. The people, the policymakers have to be the ones that make those changes happen. So he was incredible, in all honesty. He was incredible, and he's done a lot actually for equity. Anyway, and so, it was the perfect person. We also had a screening at Parliament last week, which was incredible and historical, and it felt very validating, I think, for us to be there with what we were doing, considering, I guess, the history of the UK and the history of Parliament, and for us to be there with Shades of Survival, with like-minded people and peers, and to really express what it is that is needed, and to hear the response about the film. It was wonderful.
Because talk about making this documentary. I'll come to you, David. What was it like putting it together? Challenges faced, and yes, we're here.
The thing about directing a documentary is you're not sure what you're going to meet along the way, and this was the story for us. I met Victoria, and I had no idea of the journey, and Victoria has been such a guide. But we wanted to show Africans all around the world, and Africans live everywhere, hence why we wanted this film to be as global as possible. And we went to countries that has a lot of Black population, hence the US, the UK, France, South Africa, and Nigeria. For me, it was very personal, because I was hearing the same stories over and over again, just different optics as to when the women discovered. But the one thing that I saw all the time with these women was the courage, and the resilience. And I saw that in my friend who was in hospital and would not wear hospital gowns. She's like, if I'm going to go out of this world, I want to go in my own terms and looking good.
Fabulous. Yeah.
I love that.
And the girl would wear makeup and wear good clothes in hospital. And it's powerful to see how much beauty was a part of their journey. Hence why when you watch this film, and I invite your viewers, I invite everyone on Friday, that's just tomorrow, 2 p.m. at Landmark. This is a beautiful film. Why do I say that? It's because that's what I've heard over and over again. While it is a powerful film, and you would expect that from, Human Story, people use the word beautiful. Now, when we shot this film, I made sure that, look, we shot a scene at Makoko. And you see a scene at Makoko, you see Makoko the way you've never seen Makoko before, because at like 6, 7 a.m., we took a drone above the clouds. And it shows you the whole of Makoko in a way you've never seen it before. We did that with South Africa. It shows the beauty of Africa. We put dance, because all these women, whether they are survivors or they've moved on, they were happy people. And so what we did in this film was celebrate those that have left us and also celebrate those that are with us, because to have breast cancer or any kind of cancer and survive requires a lot of celebration, because the opposite is the case. Most people always think once you have cancer, that's the end of it. So for me, this film has changed me in ways that I can't explain. But the one thing I've realized, the resilience in human spirits and that in women is astonishing. And I find it humbling that people like Victoria and all these women would give me, a man, an opportunity into their world and be vulnerable. It's quite an honor, I would say.
I can relate with the lady that you mentioned that would, make up, look good, because, I lost my dad to cancer, so I can tell, it's an... No, it's okay. He had lived a life. He died at a good age, but even regardless, you don't want to lose someone to, an illness regardless. But, I can tell about the image thing. You look at yourself like you're a shadow of what you used to be. So I can relate with that. Okay, so let's talk about, briefly before talk about, your participation in AFRIF rather. Now, why do you think it's they have higher, rates of death amongst Black women than the whites? Is it like we live in self-denial? Very brief, if you can.
From the experience of interviewing people, and then also statistics. There are 3 reasons I'd say. One is the education, not knowing what it is that we need to do, whether it's what we're looking for, how often, and therefore going to the doctor in time, because the sooner we catch anything, the more chance we have of survival, and that the treatment, the therapy, the surgery will work. What I did notice when I interviewed people in South Africa and Nigeria in particular was that there is a shame and a taboo. So I remember one woman saying that she, her community looks at her like, don't marry into the family. It's a cancer family. God is displeased with them. That's why he's given them cancer in that family.
Superstitions.
Imagine the pain, the worry, the stress that you are already feeling having cancer, and then on top of it feeling like you don't have that support and that community. And I also think, and this is something that I'm working on when it comes to research, is some of the cosmetics that are marketed for women of colour in particular, they contain carcinogens, and that is something that we have to really look into. I use everything I use on my skin, my hair now is natural. I'm very careful about what I eat, what I put into my body, what I put onto my body. Our skin is the biggest organ we absorb. We have to treat our bodies like it's the only one we have.
Great. All right, so let's talk about AFRIF. Now, documentary screens tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So what are your expectations from this particular screening? And this is your first visit, or participation in AFRIF?
Yes.
This is your first.
It is.
Okay, so what are you expecting tomorrow? What are you looking forward to?
What we've found in most of the screenings we've done is we invite a lot of people in the healthcare system, survivors, and people that can bring in as many women. And usually we've done quite a few screenings now, private, and we're at CAMFest. But at AFRIF, we expect people to start talking. What we realize about this is that no one wants to talk about breasts. Even for men.
It's a delicate topic.
It's a very delicate topic.
Not in that way.
Not in that way, yes. And And what we realize in most of the show is people start talking about it.
They testify.
When we did a private screening in Abuja in June, there were people from the National Institute of Cancer Research and Treatment in Nigeria. So NICRAT showed part of Shades of Survival, about 20 minutes worth of the film at the last International Cancer Week, which was like 2 weeks ago. And it stirs up the conversation, and that's what I'm expecting. That this film, we're making this film available in little bits to advocate to hospitals, and we're having people like Cambridge University hospitals saying, oh, give us bits and bits of this film. When we're doing our symposium, it now becomes a part of that. So what are we expecting in AFRIF? That when we're done, people will want to use part of this film as advocacy tool for saving lives.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I mean, the conversation will definitely continue. Something that we can keep talking about to create awareness. Thank you for coming. And
thank you, Ken.
Guys should have fun tomorrow at AFRIF. What time does it screen, by the way?
2 p.m.
2 p.m.
Landmark. Yes.
All right, so have fun. And yes, I'll look forward to seeing you guys again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.